すまない。だがあの二人ならその実力はもう兼ね備えていると判断している。
おっしゃることは承りました。今後は二度とこのようなことのないように、せめて私には一言ください。
ああ、約束する。
では人にもかけることのないようにご分を。
来たか。
フェンリル極地化技術開発局ブラッド所属第2期候補生2名到着いたしました。
ようこそブラッドへ。隊長のジュリウス・ビスコンティだ。それでは今より実地訓練を始める。見ろ、あれが人類を脅かす災い、駆逐すべき天敵荒神だ。手段は問わない。完膚なきまでに荒神を叩きのめせ。いいな。
これって実戦ですか？
本物の戦場でやってこその実地訓練だ。お前たちが実力を発揮できさえすれば問題になるような相手じゃない。いいな。古来から人間は強大な敵と対峙し、常にそれを退けてきた。鋭い牙も強靭な爪も持たない人類がなぜ勝利したのか。共闘し、連携し、助け合う戦略と戦術。人という群れを一つにする強い意志の力。意志こそが俺たち人間に与えられた最大の武器なんだ。それを忘れるな。時間だ。行くぞ。
Okay, so here we are with another episode of God Eater Chat with Super Sand Squeamish. I'm Super Sand Squeamish. That might be a weird way to introduce myself. With that being said, I noted this before. This is just the introduction before I, chat about my gameplay, whether it be commentary or just discussing God Eater in general. There's a lot to God Eater, whether it be the story, gameplay, mechanics, or just the cool stuff you can do, and the Aragami. Anyways, what I want to say briefly here is, first off, I'll be using this sticker of Snake, so deal with it, because I think it's kind of funny, and I'm lazy. Not really. Anyways, the format for these might change. I'm going to refine these videos, although I noticed the Sonic fans didn't care either way. We're going to try and find a better format for our God Eater chats. So, with this first, refined prototype, we're going to start with a cutscene, because that is one of the glorious things of God Eater. They're very anime, very awesome, and if you know Japanese, or you're just Japanese yourself, or personally indulge in culture, it's very good. And it's fun to enjoy, and it's a great way to, really get amped up into the gameplay loop, as sometimes it's a bit repetitive. Now, with that being pointed out, we'll then usually review maybe what I'm going to talk about, or just jump right into the gameplay itself with commentary. Other than that, a few things might change. Once or twice, there might be a couple widgets in the way. If you have any opinions or things you specifically want to hear about God Eater, please leave them below in the comments. Or subscribe for more, as I will be coinciding God Eater with Metal Gear content. So you should be able to get a little bit of both worlds. With that being said, this will be God Eater chats. A few things might change, but what you can expect is a little slice of cutscenes, story, and then of course, commentary and my gameplay. I hope you enjoy as much as I'm going to enjoy this new experience.
Okay, so
first off, this is just one of the missions where there's no large Aragami, so no giant monsters or anything, going off my opinion, anything super cool to do. This was just one of the first story missions in the first bracket, and it was basically just hunt down some smaller Aragami. So I was still kind of deciding which weapons I wanted to use, and other than that, there's not much to say about this first section here. Although those things look a little weird. They're like rhino beetles with legs. The Aragami designs are probably my favorite. I mean, just in general, my favorite concept of games like this and God Eater, outside of the weapons, of course. I think I can't read kanji yet, although that one's clearly a hammer, unless there's a different name for it. I believe I'm using like the straight sword at this current moment, although at the current time I prefer the dagger. But that being said, the hammer is also kind of my go-to. I think I was still getting the hang of the controls here, given this was filmed probably about 20 hours ago into my God Eater gameplay. Other than that, this is fairly interesting. Okay, so this is one of the lobbies, and you can just imagine a giant robot right there. But what I would like to point out is one thing I really enjoy about God Eater in general is the simplicity of the lobby, due to the fact that this is where you get your quests, whether you're trying to read kanji or you can read kanji. Sometimes it's a matter of just like exhausting all the dialogue until you get to where you want to go, more or less. I eventually figured out the patterns until now. But there's story quests and there is normal quests, I guess. And what I would say is, in these games, normally I focus on going after the weapons, and that's my biggest motivator most of the time. So far, I've actually had more fun just experiencing what it's like to try and translate the game, as well as developing techniques, due to the fact that I don't, necessarily feel the need to translate each item, due to the fact it would take a lot of time. So things like the weapon buffs and details that make specific weapons super well help decide what I should be spending my materials on, just less obvious. So it's more or less a deciding game of going for raw stats or picking things that just look cool and focusing on skill, which in its own right, learning the weapons is more or less a feel thing than anything else, which is enjoyable. Although I will say some of these designs are super nice and exquisite, as you can see here though. I'm still adjusting to the menu and learning how to navigate the lack of kanji understanding. That was poor grammar, but you can make sense of it, as I do with this game. I've tried out all the weapon types at this point, and I think I'm still trying to decide if I want to focus on one thing or find a match for each type of Aragami I encounter, as I do know there is some excessively large, hopefully not multiplayer locked like other Monhun style games, that I feel skill won't be the only factor of success. But that being said, I feel like I'm rambling, but I think I have decided that this is going to be the perfect balance of talking about God Eater and just commentary on my gameplay, because it really is one of those things that is a lot of fun to talk about and why did I do that there? It has lots of intricate details. Actually, I don't think there is a large Aragami in this video, sadly. But that leaves plenty of room for me to go back to the lobby, apparently. Although, I most likely just wanted to bring different equipment. As like I said, I think I was still trying things out in this area.
Anyways, back to the topic I was on. What I like to point out is the fact that I know very, very little Japanese, but the fact that I can't necessarily automatically translate these with my mind, of course. I could use technology if I wanted to. But that being said, it does really change how I approach these kind of topics and games like this. Normally, I would capitalize on every Aragami's weakness as soon as I'm able to find out what it is, whether it's an element or a certain hitbox, and then I would build focus around that. So in this instance, if I was facing the electric Aragami and knowing that it has wind resistance, wind is its weakest resistance, I would then immediately go build a pairing of weapons duly for that fact. But that's another interesting thing that I love, or I guess love is a strong word, about God Eater, is the way that the weapons are essentially 2-in-1. It allows more or less than one option to hone in on a Aragami. For example, if there's a certain Aragami that is really difficult to do damage at periods of time in close distance, or has a obvious single weak spot, something like a element focused sniper, whether or just raw depending on its weakness, is perfect. But that might not pair so well with something like the hammer, where you're also stuck with slow combat. So it's giving you more than one option to, I guess more than one weakness to capitalize on, allowing for further tuning. And another super important thing to note is some of these missions get pretty chaotic with 1 or 2, maybe even 3 Aragami. And the nice thing that builds a challenge with that isn't so much the, I guess, cluster and mess that it can create gameplay-wise, but more so the ability for them, the AI itself and the game itself, to develop its own kind of combinations. Things like that really test your build dynamic, due to the fact that, like I just said, you might have a perfect combination for one type of Aragami, but you might run into a mission that has an Aragami that is completely parallel to that, allowing you to get really intensive if you wanted to with your build strategies, or focus solely on skill and really dial in on just mastering your weapon class. Other than that, there is a lot of little details that I'm starting to see fall through the cracks that I am really looking forward to digging into when I have the time. Things like weapon buffs, and I noticed that certain weapons don't just have elemental damages and normal damages, but also perks, as I can understand from the best of my gaming and gamer history. An arrow with some sort of description by it usually means a buff or an increase in some parameter on the weapon. With that being said, not to nerd talk your ear off, that's going to be the end of this God Eater chat, which was solely and mostly focused on more God Eater background and details regarding the game itself. Other than that, I hope you have a God Eater day? I don't know how to outro these quite yet, but as you can see with this one, they are developing into a quite unique video that I'm looking forward to looking forward to developing into quite the God Eater expose. Other than that, this is Super Sand Squeamish, and if you are looking for more God Eater information, God Eater content, or currently Metal Gear Solid content, or just nerd stuff in general, the description might change, but it's fairly standard. We're getting caught up with our goals. That being said, you can like, comment, and subscribe for more, or just poke around and see if you find anything interesting.